Thanks for joining. I was like, I guess nobody fucking cares about eggs.
I eat them every day.
I know, me too. I was like, well, this is gonna be a boring ass call.
Is it just me?
It's just you.
Don't make no sense.
Just you and me. I know. We'll see. We'll see if people are just like real late. Give a couple more minutes so that we can talk about our favorite eggs.
I don't have that many. Fried.
You know?
That's it. I don't like egg
Fried
bakes.
in what?
Scrambled.
Fried in what? Scramble. Have you ever tried a frittata?
Similar to an egg bake?
Yeah, kind of. You like, yeah. Like cook it in the pan. Have you ever tried poached?
That's with the yolk.
Mm-hmm.
So I do
you
eat
like them runny?
the runny yolk only when I'm eating it with rice and asparagus. And I break the yolk over the rice and it's in a bowl. And I sprinkle some on it. That's delicious. But I would never just have a runny egg on a plate. There's got to be something softening up the yolk.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I need something. I want it on like bread or potato or rice or something, or veggies. I put it on top of my Brussels sprouts tonight because Joey came home with this bread. I gotta show you this bread, girl. It's so good. There's this little like shack on the side of the road up north. It's like a couple hours away, but when he goes on a drive and he passes it, he stops in this place and buys it for me. It's called Serenity Farm, and it's all natural sourdough bread, but it's got nuts and cranberries in it. Hey, Ellen.
Hello.
But anyway, he brought that home today, and so I had to have some runny eggs and then that bread. So yeah, we're talking about eggs. What are your favorite kinds of eggs? Oh, sorry. Go Natika.
I don't love any of the ones where you put a bunch of veggies in it and cook it in a big pan and then reheat it. Then I like my eggs fresh.
Fresh, okay. That's legitimate. What about like omelets? Do you like omelets with your veggie? Like eggs with veggies in your omelets?
Yep.
It's good.
Those other ones though, I don't either. I don't season it enough. So once I've tried to bake the thing in a casserole dish and cut it in squares and have it ready. It's never seasoned enough for me, and it needs more. I need cheese in it, not just on top.
She's talking. Yeah.
So
I agree. Sometimes they can be bland. Yeah.
And it just doesn't feel fresh. Yeah. That also doesn't work for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you. That just reminded me of another way I like to do eggs though. I like to bake like a whole tall carton of egg whites. I pour it in a 13x9 pan and bake it until it's set for like, it's usually like 35 minutes at 350. And then I cut it into squares and I use it to make breakfast sandwiches. And that's really good. Yeah. It makes super yummy breakfast sandwiches. And it's so easy. Like literally you just pour the eggs, the egg white carton into a 13x9 and bake it. And I like the what are they called? You could do it on an English muffin, but I like the sandwich thins. Okay, look, I'm on my call right now. You can say hi to Miss Ellen on Marco Polo later, okay? Emmett and Miss Ellen became like besties when she came to visit. So the sandwich thins, the little Oro wheat ones, and then I always put cheese as a barrier between the bread and the egg though, and then spinach on the top. between the bread and the egg. And then I like to put a breakfast meat. So if I feel like cooking, I'll do bacon. But if I don't feel like cooking, I'll get like Canadian bacon, like the little circles of ham, and put that on there. And it's perfect. Like it's basically Fitme inspired. It's just not, because of the bread, it's not officially a Fitme plate, but it's got the protein, it's got the veggie from the spinach, it's got the fat from the cheese, and it's really travels well. You can make one 13x9 pan cuts into 8 squares. So you can make 8 breakfast sandwiches, and I wrap them in a paper towel and stick them in a sandwich baggie, and then I can run out the door. Ellen, it'd be perfect for you running out the door to like a thing, like one of your work things.
Yeah, that's what I need. To go food.
Yeah, that would be perfect. I used to take that to work all the time. And if you have like, if you can do it in a microwave, but if you have access to like a toaster oven, it's bomb in a toaster oven. But yeah, it works in a microwave too. Just like 45 seconds. It doesn't take that long to heat it up either. Or you can eat it cold. Joe used to eat them cold. So before I bust up into like my favorite egg things and my favorite egg hacks, do you guys have any like tips or tricks with your eggs?
None.
None at all.
None. Okay, so my trick one time, I set my eggs in there to boil, so they're boiling away, and I went in the living room and sat down, and then a while later I hear some explosions because the water and the eggs exploded like all over the ceiling, and my kids came running there like, oh my god, mom, we're under attack. I think no, it's just me cooking. It took me an hour to like cleaning the ceiling. No, I have no tips for you on cooking at all.
That is hilarious. Oh my gosh, I've never heard of such a thing.
Oh yeah,
that is so funny.
I've done it because I don't stand in the kitchen. I get bored. So I left.
That is so funny. I was never good at making hard-boiled eggs until I learned how to do it in a pressure cooker. I could never get them to be, I would always overcook them or way undercook them. But I remember, this is a really funny Christy Campbell story. I bet we could find this video like in the archives somewhere and like reshare it. It's hilarious. So it was like 2 years ago, and she's learning how to make hard-boiled eggs, and she did it live on Facebook, and she's like, guys, I just learned how to make hard-boiled eggs. It was so awesome. It was so easy. Like, this is what I did, blah, blah, blah. And then she like takes it on and like live on Facebook, cracks it on the counter, and it's raw. And it just went, and she was like, fuck. It was so hilarious. Oh my gosh. This is my like all-time favorite Christy Campbell video that has ever happened. I'll never forget it. Marlena's been around long enough to probably have seen that video. Did you see the exploding hard-boiled egg video that Christy Campbell did, Marlena?
Yes, I did. And the one where she burns her hand. Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
On the she had a wet pot holder.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Hilarious. She's so funny. But that's just like proof positive that like you can literally come from not knowing how to cook anything and still like get healthy and be Christy Campbell. So there's no excuses for any of us who have any kind of anything going on. So this is being recorded. Hey, Christy.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah. So anyway, some of my favorite egg hacks, because I eat eggs every single day. We buy like 2 of the boxes of eggs, like the 60 count boxes of eggs, because between my husband and me and my son, like we eat a dozen eggs just for breakfast. And so he eats egg whites for lunch too. And then he eats sometimes, like I eat eggs for dinner because he brought that bread home, and I really want to have some runny eggs on top of veggies with my bread. And so we eat just a ton of eggs, but in order to not get sick of the eggs, I cook them in a lot of different ways. And that's the thing I love the most about eggs, is that they are so versatile. Like you can cook them and prepare them in so many different ways and use them in a lot of different things and never get like sick of it, because you're always changing up the flavors or whatever it is. So as far as like egg whites go, my husband's eating a lot of egg whites right now just because he was counting macros. He's trying to get back to counting macros, but he had a really hard time getting enough protein in without too much fat. And so a really easy way to do that is just like a buttload of egg whites. And so he would eat, I got him these tortillas, and then he would eat egg whites, scrambled egg whites with avocado and some fresh salsa and a little bit of hot sauce. That was his like breakfast burrito. And that is really, really good and easy and delicious. And I either eat an omelet with veggies, a scramble with veggies. Still, like the scramble came from like laziness of not wanting to even mess with the omelet. So like I used this one pan for the longest time, and it was the perfect like omelet size, but it stopped being like nonstick. And so I started using this bigger one, which was also like nonstick, and it never like messed with me. So I turned it into scramble because the skillet was way too big to make an omelet. If I made an omelet, it was like super flat. So a couple of my favorite like tips and tricks around cooking eggs: make sure your pan is preheated. So your pan needs to be like medium heat. Preheat it before you put the eggs in. That's super, super important if you're cooking eggs in a skillet. Also, I like to like make sure you have a nonstick pan, because cleaning eggs out of a pan is like my least favorite thing ever. It is awful. Yeah, because she knows what's up. It's so bad. And that's why like when this pan is still nonstick. It actually like I slid my runny eggs right out of this earlier. But this pan used to be nonstick, no longer nonstick. It's like, yeah, you can see it now. So like I can scrub and scrub and scrub, and I can never get the eggs out of the bottom of it. So start with a nonstick pan, preheat your pan, and then use Pam spray. I like this. I don't know why, but generic just does not. I think it has to do with the spray nozzle. I think that the spray nozzle on the Pam gives like a finer mist spray, so it really covers it. Natika, do you agree? Do you have a preference to like store brand versus Pam?
Pam definitely spreads better. Like it goes for with less.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I think it's the nozzle on the Pam itself, not like what's in it. It's just like that nozzle sprays better. So I have both. Like this is extra virgin olive oil, and I have it right here next to my air fryer. Because I like to spray that on top of, like, if I throw fish in there, I'll spray the top, like I'll spray the grate underneath, but then I'll spray the top of the fish too. And I like extra virgin olive oil, but for like my eggs or like things in the skillet, I use Pam. So those are my two like basics as far as like make sure your pan's preheated. The importance of that is that when the eggs hit the pan, they'll start to cook. And one, they won't spread as far, and two, they will get fluffier. So if you're making scrambled eggs, you want your pan to be hot already because it makes the eggs fluffier. I don't add any can you not right now? I don't add any milk or like cream or anything to my eggs. I just scramble them up and then pour them in the pan. I've also been known to not scramble them and scramble them in the pan. So you can actually crack them directly in the pan and then like scramble them around with your spatula if you don't feel like dirtying a fork in a bowl or a whisk. I use a fork when I scramble eggs. I actually use baby forks. Somebody else use their baby forks and spoons to like stir coffee and like do things with. I use this to scramble my eggs because I don't want to waste a fork. Like, I hate that. It drives me crazy. So yes, you can pre-scramble or you can scramble in the pan, but making sure that it's preheated. Hard-boiled eggs, I like to do in my pressure cooker. So I have like an old school pressure cooker like your grandma had. I also have an Instapot, and you can do the same exact thing in an Instapot. I just like my old school one because it doesn't have any fancy sensors that like won't let it get up to pressure if something happens. But for perfectly hard-boiled eggs, I hard boil like 40 eggs a week and just keep them in a big bowl. Yeah, like a ton of them, because my husband eats 6 of them a day, and then I eat a few in my salads usually. And so because he eats the egg whites, so I break them open and I cut the yolk out and throw it in a baggie for him for his lunch. But when I hard boil them, I put the little grate in the bottom. You put 1 cup of water and then however many eggs, like literally I put like 30 or 40 eggs in at a time. And then put the lid on and then turn the heat up to high. And then when it gets up to pressure, it's on high pressure for 4 minutes. And then you manually release the pressure. And then when the little pin goes down and you can take the lid off, put it immediately into an ice bath. And then they're perfect. They're like not overcooked. The yolk is nice and creamy and yellow. That's the perfect hard-boiled egg, but I can't do it in a bowl. Like I can't boil them on the stove. I can never, ever get them to be as perfect. I've gotten a little bit better at them because I've heard that if you put salt in your water and then bring it to a boil and let it boil for like a minute or 2, and then you put a lid on it and turn the heat all the way off and let it sit for 10 minutes and then put it in the ice bath. But I can neither confirm nor deny that that's effective because I don't ever do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mother says
So
that word. I buy mine already and peeled. I hate peeling them too.
Yeah, that was another thing. Like I could never get them to peel when I boil them in a pot. Now, when I do the hard boiled in the pressure cooker and then put them in the ice bath, the peel comes off super easy. But yeah, peeling eggs was like my nightmare. I hated peeling eggs before. Okay, so we talked about scrambled. Oh, and I always add cheese to my scrambled eggs. I like sharp cheddar because it melts the best. That's just a fun fact. Sharp cheddar cheese melts better than other cheddar cheese. And I like to put my eggs in my pan, scramble them around. They're almost cooked all the way, not quite, like it's still a little bit wet. And then I sprinkle my cheese over and then I kind of toss it around in the pan to finish it off. And then it gets super melty and it's all distributed. I don't like to sprinkle my cheese after I already put it on my plate because it never fully doesn't melt as well. So I like to do my cheese while it's still in the pan, but just like right at the end. Can you stop messing with the dogs in the kitchen? Please go. Well, leave them alone. Go. It's past bedtime and Joey's outside working out in the gym. So, oh, okay. Getting a shell out of the eggs. Do you guys know how to do this? Do you know how to get a shell out of the eggs if you crack it in the bowl?
You use the other part of the shell and scoop it up.
Yeah. You use the other part of the shell. Yes, that 100% works. I do it all the time. And you can also, like, if you crack your egg in it and you're like, oh, I didn't want a yolk in it. I wanted to use the white. You can scoop the yolk out with the shell too. And it gets it nice and clean. If you forget, like if you're not going to do like the toss back and forth thing, you can just scoop the yolk out and throw it away. So good job, Ellen. Quiz show time. Did you know, this is a fun fact about eggs that I didn't know, in like Europe or like people that have fresh eggs from the farm, they don't refrigerate their eggs. You don't actually have to refrigerate fresh eggs and they don't wash them either. You don't wash them.
If you wash it, you have to refrigerate it. So you can't wash, keep it unrefrigerated. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I knew that one.
Yeah. Because there's like an invisible shield membrane around the egg. And if you wash them, it washes the membrane away and that membrane protects it from germs. So even if they're like covered in poop, like chicken poop, I don't know if you've ever gotten like fresh eggs from a farm, but often they'll have like chicken poop on them. Even with the chicken poop on it, do not wash them. Like you want to be careful when you break it because you don't want to get like poop in your eggs when you break it, but
wash it right
don't wash. Yeah, well, I don't even wash. Well, I guess you could wash it right before. I don't even do that. I'm just really careful. And I try not to get chicken poop in my eggs.
Hold on. That sucker right before.
And when you have chicken poop eggshells, don't scoop the broken eggshells out with chicken poop eggshells. Does anybody know how to microwave eggs? That is a really effective skill when you're like on the go and you have access to a microwave.
That's how I taught my daughters to cook. Their first thing was learning how to cook eggs in a microwave. It's their first meal. And we
That's
start,
awesome.
and you put it in a bowl, stir, and you cook it for 30 seconds on the microwave. Take it out, stir it up, and then 15 seconds, every 15 seconds until it's as hard as you want. Throw some cheese in.
Yeah,
Oh,
perfect. Boom. That's exactly how to do it. I have this like fancy dancy egg cooker, but you don't need this. You just need a glass bowl.
for chef.
I used to do it in a glass bowl until Pampered Chef. So I had this fancy Pampered Chef one. But I still keep it, but it has that little hole to let the steam out. But yeah, you do not need to you can just do it in a glass bowl or like not a plastic bowl. Actually, I guess you could do it in a plastic bowl. It might just like paper bowl. That'd be good.
But they're open
because then you just throw it away
on the stove. But second grade, you get to cook eggs in the microwave.
That's awesome. I should teach Emma how to do that. I bet he could do it now.
Yep.
Did you lose the spider? Just leave. It's fine. Can you just seriously get out of the kitchen now? You're distracting me. You don't need to throw that away. You didn't even use it. Go. Go watch TV. I don't care what you pick. Guys, I need school to start so bad. I love this kid so much, but he's driving me bonkers. And he thinks it's funny. He's in there jumping on the couch laughing at me. I'm trying to think of what else. What are some other good egg hacks? So Natika was talking about egg bake. She's not a fan of the egg bake, but I really love the egg bake for meal prep. So if you don't mind reheated eggs, also a way to do the egg bake is if you like take it out of the oven right before it's done, like it's not quite hard yet. And then when you reheat it, they won't be like super, super dry. But it's one of my very easiest meal preps because I would just take the 13x9 and take like a frozen bag of peppers and onions and pour it frozen into the pan and then whisk up however many eggs. So if I wanted 3 eggs per serving and I was going to cut it into 8 squares, then it's 24 eggs. And so I scrambled up 24 eggs, poured it over, sprinkled a little bit of cheese and salt and pepper on top, stuck in the oven at 350 for a half an hour. And it was like half hour, 35 minutes. You just kind of wait until the middle's set and then take it out. So that was another really super easy prep for me. You could also turn that into a sandwich. But I liked to do my Lauren's roasted potatoes and have those as my side because then I had my veggie, my eggs, and then my side of potatoes with a little bit of oil or butter, and that was my fat. So, and it keeps really well. And I always put it in these little, I get these containers off of Amazon, like 50 of these for $20 or something. And that way I can like throw them away if I don't, if something sits in the fridge a little bit too long and I don't feel like washing it, I can just throw the whole thing in the trash and not feel sad about it. And they also reheat well and they're easy. They stack on top of each other and I like that. I'm trying to think of what else I wanted to talk. Oh, hang on. I had a list. I had a whole list of things I wanted to talk about. Okay, we talked about all those. Microwaving eggs, runny eggs. We talked a little bit about runny eggs. So my favorite, I left my pan out just so I could show you what I do for runny eggs. So I get the pan hot, medium heat, medium to medium high, and then crack the eggs on it, season them with a little salt and pepper or whatever I'm going to season them with. And then I take a glass lid, and this glass is important to me because then I can see through it. So then I just put the lid right over it. And that's all. And I just set it there and I leave them. So instead of having to flip the egg, I can see when the top turns a little opaque and white and I shake the pan a little and the yolk still does this little, and then I know that it's done and it's ready. And so I take the lid off and I just slide them out because I was really bad at flipping eggs and letting them where they would either I would break the yolk or I would overcook it and then they'd be like over medium and they weren't runny anymore. And I'm like obsessed with runny eggs. It's like Marlena, she knows what's up with the runny eggs. We converted Nikki recently, and I think that was like my most accomplished moment ever. So I love runny eggs. One of my favorite fast dinners is a little bit of rice, and you could get the microwavable rice, or you could have like a big batch. I do rice in my pressure cooker too, and do like a huge batch of it and then put it in containers and just scoop out of it all week. But a little bit of rice, and then one of my steam fresh veggies from the freezer. And then on top of that, and then I put the eggs right on top, and I just cut them while they're still hot and runny over everything. And it like makes a sauce, and it's delicious and so easy. It takes like the longest thing that takes to cook is the vegetables if they're frozen. So you could even save more time if you like had prepped veggies beforehand and you were scooping them out with the rice and microwaving it. So runny eggs are absolutely one of my favorite things. And you can do a similar thing with the pan lid. When I would cook an omelet, I would saute my veggies in the bottom, pour the eggs over top, and then I would cover it. Instead of trying to flip an omelet, I would just cover it so that the steam at the top would cook the top of the eggs. And then when it was mostly cooked, I would take the lid off, sprinkle a little cheese on half of it, and then fold it closed, and then just slide it onto my plate. And then by the time like the folded close and the cheese, that you melt the cheese and finish cooking the eggs, and then it was perfect. Sometimes I overcooked the eggs and the outside was kind of like brown, but it still tasted really good. And that was my breakfast for like a year or something, and it was delicious. Frittata is very similar to an egg bake. And a frittata, there's a movie that I really love. It's called Morning Glory. Have you guys ever seen that? Ellen's seen it because I made her watch it when she was here.
Loved it.
But it's really cute. It has it has Harrison Ford in it, and there's a part in it where he talks about the frittata and how it was invented in Italy, and they ate it for the afternoon repast, and they ate it at room temperature, and they used just like whatever leftover veggies they had around the house, and they would saute them in a very hot pan. The hot pan was super important. So you preheat your oven. You have a very hot pan. You have to have an oven safe pan. That's super important too. Like this one has a rubber handle. You can't use that. It has to be totally metal. And you saute your veggies in the bottom of your pan, pour your eggs over in a very hot pan, and then you stick it in the oven, and it bakes in the oven, kind of like an egg bake, but it gets like fluffier and almost has like a crust on the outside of it because of the hot pan. So that's really good too. I don't like doing poached eggs. I like poached eggs. I don't like to cook them until I learned how to do them in the microwave. So you can actually poach eggs in the microwave, where you put you have a mug and you put a little bit of water in the bottom, and then you softly crack your egg into the water in the bottom of the mug, and then you microwave it for, I can't remember how long, like 45 minutes. Don't do that. It'll explode like Ellen's. 45 seconds. And just look at it and see if the white is cooked. And then when it looks like you can't see the yolk anymore, then it's cooked, and then you can take it out, and it should still be runny. So that's a fun fact. I think that's all I got. Does anybody else have any other egg tips or egg hacks or questions about eggs?
Oh, I made my list. I'm going to go shopping and make some eggs.
Yay. Are you going to make the sandwiches?
Yes, I'm going to try and bake the egg white or anything, just bake it. And then either get the little sandwiches, or I like that burrito style type. They have some burritos made up.
Oh yeah, that'd be good too.
Take it to go. So
yeah, that would be really good. If you cut the eggs a little skinnier, like if you cut like one of the eggs, I can't talk. Like the 13x9 pan, if you cut it into 8, and then you cut each 8 into another half, and then you'd line them up, and that would be like the perfect size for a burrito.
How long can the eggs last for? And after you cooked them? Oh.
It depends. I always put them in like a week easily. And I always put them in their own. Now, if I'm doing an egg bake, sometimes I would leave just the lid over my my
My
13 by 9
phone.
pan.
My
But if you,
phone's dying. Sorry. I gotta
your
find my
phone's
charger.
dying, it's okay. I'm gonna try to tell you really fast. If you put them in, if you make the sandwiches up, oh no, she died. I'll text her later. But just for everybody else's edification, if you wrap your food, if you individually wrap it and or box it or bag it first and get all the air out, the less exposed your food is to air, the longer it will last. So that's why I like to put my food in containers. When I was like making a whole week's worth of food on Sunday or Saturday, because it will last much, much longer in its own individual container. If it's in a big container that you open every day and take scoops out of, it won't last as long, because every exposure to air introduces more germs and moisture and bacteria and stuff, and it grows. Like that's where mold will grow. And so I would sometimes, and this is not advised, but I'm like a sniff test person. So I would never recommend somebody eat something in their fridge that's past a week after it's been cooked, but I personally have. If it's been in one of those containers, sometimes I would eat it well into the second week, as long as it smelled fine. Because if you're eliminating, and I do the same thing with like chicken. If I make like a big thing of shredded chicken, I always put it in individual baggies and squeeze all the air out of it, because it will last so much longer. Plus it'll be ready for me to throw in the freezer if it starts getting close to like, I probably don't need to eat this beyond today. Let me stick it in the freezer. So those are my favorite egg hacks and food storage hacks. I should probably do like a food storage call. Would that be interesting to anybody? Food storage.
I'm always open for ideas.
Okay. All right. Well, does anybody have anything that they want to ask or follow up with? It doesn't have to be about eggs. It can be about anything food related. This week's target was meal prep. So if you're having any meal prep struggles, we can totally talk about those as well. No, good. Everybody good?
The only thing with me is my kids made a comment on Sunday. I thought we had a pretty good dinner, and they told me they were pretty bored with chicken, potatoes, and broccoli. So I got to come up with some new ideas and new things. So the call actually was helpful for me because it gave me a few ideas. But yeah, I've struggled a lot with my kids and getting them to eat food that is what we eat. And now that they're doing that, yeah, they're getting bored with the same old stuff. I could eat the same stuff all the time, but they're telling me it's boring.
Yeah. I get in like grooves too, like where I it's like I can't even think outside of my box anymore, because I'm just like salmon, rice, and veggies, and it's good, and I just eat it, and I'm like whatever. And so it's hard for me to think.
Yeah.
And I don't like recipes either. I really hate recipes. They stress me out. So to try to like come up with, which is crazy, because when I was working full time, I made something different every single week. And so I'm like, I guess I'm just too comfortable now, and I just don't, don't feel like I have to have variety, because there's nobody else that sees what I eat every day. Or there's no one else involved in it. But I get what you mean. It's hard. But you always go back to your materials and review like the Fitme recipes just for inspiration. That's what I use recipes for. I just use them to inspire me, and like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. Let me use that flavor profile and throw some stuff together. But you could always brainstorm with me or Leah too. Ellen, I'm gonna Marco Polo you with food storage, because I did go over that after you got kicked off. But I want to take a picture. Let me see everybody's beautiful faces, smiles, the smiles. Okay, let me put this out of the way. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, cheese.
Peace.
Awesome.
Waka.
All right. Love you guys so much. Have an
Thank
awesome rest of your
you.
week, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.